Meanwhile, in Maine, ICE has ended its enhanced operation after 8 days in the state, according to Republican Senator Susan Collins. Collins says she spoke directly with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, thanked her for her, quote, willingness to listen. ICE reportedly detained more than 200 people in the state during the surge of federal agents. State and local officials say many of them have no criminal history. And the Portland Press-Herald reports the government's operation has left much of the state with an intense sense of fear, leading some U.S. citizens there to even start carrying their passports out of fear of being racially profiled and detained. Joining me now is the Portland, Maine Mayor, Mark Dion. Mr. Mayor, I want to start with what we heard from Susan Collins. Are you seeing the difference on the ground?
It's too early to tell. I welcome the news from the senator, but I need verification. I'd feel more comfortable if she were able to publish some memorandum or written communication from the secretary attesting to her desire to remove agents from the state.
Tell me about your community, and even if the operation is over, even if the surge ends, what about the fear and the impact on families and students? How long does that remain?
It's incalculable. I mean, I don't know when it's going to end, because how do you manage emotional wreckage? How do you measure it? When have you turned the corner? Families are fearful to leave their homes. We had to bring food to them. Their children can't go to school because they know if they're not coming back or not. Businesses have lost staff and have to close down. The hospital is in crisis because many of their support staff have elected not to come home. I'm dealing with the potential of a wave of evictions because the principal breadwinner is in detention somewhere, and the capacity to meet their expenses places them at risk. They're afraid to go outside, and these evictions will push them outside. So no, simply saying to us, Madam Senator, that they're removing themselves fails to recognize the wake of wreckage they've left behind them.
We keep hearing from the administration that what they're interested in are the worst of the worst. And Tom Homan at a press conference today suggested they're only going after criminals, people who are making the streets of America more dangerous. Do you have any statistics? Are you able to be given any information about the people who have been taken into custody, who they are, and if they are indeed, quote unquote, criminals?
I haven't received any information from ICE on the nature or profile of the individuals they've taken into custody. The few photos they've released with headlines attached to them about their criminality is insufficient for me to draw a conclusion. I carried a gun and a badge for 32 years. This wasn't the policing that I worked on. This is bad policing with little information, lack of coordination. And if there is the violent offender among us, then show us the data, have warrants, prove the case. People are being taken here maybe for administrative violations. We don't know. Cops don't work in the dark. And that's the chapter that's been written here today. And that's why our citizens are confused and fearful. They're accustomed to police officers that work in the light of day, don't hide their identity, and have transparency about the purpose of any police action they take in the community. All those expectations were not met by federal agents.
Well, since you do have that background in law enforcement, I'm curious what the impact has been on the police force in your city. And the relationships that they have had with federal agents. And I guess maybe the big long-term picture is, do you think it's going to hurt their relationship that they've tried to build with the people of Portland?
Police officers in Maine are professionals. We're well-trained, and we maintain good relationships among agencies. And I worked with federal agents all my career. I saw them as actually role models about how the best operate in the community. And that assumption has been vacated now. I think there's some work to be done. My officers are put in the awkward position of protecting the interests of our city without being seen as collaborators with some type of law enforcement operation they don't recognize. They know what it means to work for a community. It appears at this juncture, federal agents have lost sight of that.
Portland, Maine Mayor Mark Dion, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.